All right, let's start with a really critical question for every sales leader and executive listening right now. If Q1 determines the success of your entire year, are you treating it as a warm-up or are you treating it as a launch pad?
That is the question.
It's absolutely critical. We're not even talking about next year. We're talking about locking in 2026 success. And according to the material we've been diving into, Q1 is, well, it's where the whole trajectory gets set.
It's framed as, an existential moment for the annual plan. We've pulled our insights from the Sales Experts, which is this strategic guide designed for one reason, really.
Well, what's that?
To help executive teams avoid the industry's single biggest mistake, spending 9 months trying to recover from a slow start.
9 months. That's most of the year.
Exactly. The research is just so clear. Q1 isn't just 25% of your year. It fundamentally dictates your momentum and sets the foundation for what they call true sales success.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mission for this deep dive is to pull out the specific, hyper-actionable steps you need to take right now, not in Q2 to build that momentum.
Right.
We're going straight to the pain points, focusing on 3 crucial areas the guide says executives must control immediately: removing internal friction, perfecting your hiring timing, and locking in absolute pipeline discipline.
What's fascinating to me here is that the urgency is tied directly to cost. If you connect the dots, the guide, it lays out the penalty for delay so clearly. If you miss that opportunity to build momentum in Q1, your 2026 plan just becomes harder, slower, and, significantly more expensive to achieve.
So it's not a warning, it's more like a cost projection of doing nothing.
That's a great way to put it, a cost projection of inertia.
So the core message here is that inertia is more dangerous than imperfection, which kind of flips the usual cautious executive script, right?
It does. Businesses, especially the big ones, lose months waiting. They wait for that complete budget sign-off.
Or they wait for perfect internal alignment.
Exactly, or for some mythical perfect market stability to just appear.
Which never happens.
And that waiting is precisely what the winning companies avoid. The research really emphasizes that you don't need perfection. You need decisive movement.
A launch window. I like that term.
The winning companies treat Q1 as a launch window. They get that every week they spend optimizing or waiting for that perfect plan is a week they lose the compounding effect of early sales and early hiring.
The compounding effect really is the key difference, isn't it?
It's everything.
You generate a deal in January. That revenue starts driving resources and confidence for the rest of the year. You generate the same deal in May.
And you're just catching up. You're already behind.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because that movement requires proactively dealing with internal decay before it becomes rot. The sales experts identify these key internal drags. And the source isn't even listing market forces here. It's saying the executive team is its own biggest blocker.
That's a powerful realization. The guide lists 5 major blockers that fundamentally undermine the foundation of sales success.
So let's talk about them. What are they?
Okay, so you have vacant roles, underperformers you haven't replaced, poor pipeline discipline, weak inbound volume, and maybe the most overlooked one, chaotic onboarding for new hires.
Let's just focus on the human element for a second, because that list is brutal in its honesty.
It is.
You, listening to this, you probably know exactly who those underperformers are or which critical roles have been open for months. But the material emphasizes that these problems, they just get bigger if you procrastinate.
Absolutely. The first step to taking control isn't just about generating new business. It's acting now to remove these friction points.
Right.
Take that underperformer issue. If you have someone who is clearly not hitting targets and you carry them through Q1 hoping for a miracle, that person isn't just producing zero revenue. They are consuming resources, soaking up management time, and critically, they are blocking a territory that a high-performing replacement could be building.
It's an opportunity cost that executives often only see in retrospect. By removing that blocker early, you clear the deck.
Exactly.
If you're struggling to hire, that's slowing sales. Internal misalignment, slowing sales. It's all a self-inflicted wound.
And this urgency around fixing the inside of the house, it immediately frees up capacity, which brings us perfectly to the next challenge, filling those critical roles.
Actionable insight number 2. Winning the talent war early.
Yes.
This insight is pure strategy. It's about timing the market, not just reacting to it. The research gives very clear advice here.
Very clear. It says January and February are the 2 busiest hiring months of the year for top sales performers.
The 2 busiest months.
Right. top performers, your difference makers, they take calls, they explore offers, and they move quickly at the beginning of the year. They're often looking for a change once bonuses vest, and they want new momentum while the talent market is fresh.
They don't wait until spring.
They don't.
But wait, let me just challenge that premise for a second. Isn't it risky for leaders to hire aggressively in January when maybe the 2026 budgets aren't 100% stable yet?
That's a fair challenge, and the guide actually acknowledges that perceived risk. Their solution is twofold.
Okay.
First, the risk of not hiring a proven performer in January far outweighs the budget risk because the cost of recovery is so high.
Right. The opportunity cost again.
And second, they mandate that the strategic roles, the ones that unlock new territories or high-growth verticals, must be funded first before anything else. It's an investment decision prioritized over operational stability.
That makes a lot of sense. Prioritizing growth over perfect stability. But let's detail the financial risk for executives who drag their feet. If recruitment is delayed until March or April, the guide says you are, and I'm quoting here, fighting for the leftovers.
Yeah. And that delay can cost the company an entire quarter of revenue.
Let's unpack the mechanics of that loss. How does that happen?
Well, think about it. If you wait until March, you might hire someone great, but now you have to factor in the average time to productivity.
The ramp-up time.
Exactly. Even a top performer needs, say, 6 weeks for structured onboarding and training. Then they need another 6 to 8 weeks for a typical sales cycle to close their first meaningful deal.
So 6 weeks of ramp plus 6 to 8 weeks of selling. That means revenue doesn't even hit until mid-Q2. Maybe early Q3.
Right. Whereas if that role had been filled in early January, the revenue would have stabilized by the end of Q1. By delaying 3 months, you effectively push revenue recognition 3 months. You've lost a whole quarter of productivity.
That is a massive sunk cost.
It is, which raises the question, how do you get in front of the line for the best talent?
And what's the solution?
The solution from the sales experts requires execution now. You line up vetted candidates in advance. You have to have pre-qualified pipelines of talent ready to issue offers in early January and February.
So you're ready to move the second the window opens.
That's how you ensure speed and quality. You can't start a marathon with half a team.
And once you have that team hired and the blockers are removed, you need discipline. Which brings us to our third major insight. Locking in accountability from week one. This addresses that pitfall we hear all the time. Sales leaders say, we're building a pipeline in Q1. But what they really mean are deals that won't close until Q3.
That's not Q1 success, that's Q1 hope.
And hope is not a strategy.
Never. To shift the team into true action, leaders must enforce tactical discipline from day one. The material details 4 specific actions to create that early accountability on the sales floor.
Okay, let's list those out. These aren't suggestions, they're mandates. The first one is daily outbound activity expectations.
You need to know what your team is doing every single day to generate new interest, not just manage existing leads.
And second,
qualified pipeline targets. This is where the jargon really matters. A lead is just a name. A qualified pipeline target has met specific criteria.
Budget, authority, need, timeline, the basics.
Exactly. If you're not defining qualified, your pipeline number is inflated, and frankly, it's meaningless.
That distinction is so critical. If your reps are carrying deals that haven't moved in a month, that brings us to the third point.
Which is the weekly review of deal movement. This is just pure operational discipline. It forces communication, it identifies bottlenecks, and you solve problems before the deal goes cold.
And fourth,
critically clear criteria for removing dead deals. You have to clear out the hope deals to focus on the reality deals.
The hope deal. We all know that one.
Yeah.
That massive Q4 opportunity from last year you keep carrying.
Despite 0 confirmed next steps in the last 45 days, you have to be ruthless. Remove them so attention focuses on what is actually attainable in Q1.
Okay, let's shift back to the team we just hired. We have to address the onboarding failure rate. The research highlights that new hires often underperform, not because of a lack of talent, but because onboarding is rushed or chaotic.
And a chaotic onboarding is just dropping a new hire in a chair, handing them a laptop, and saying, go shadow a few people and read the product manual.
Right. No structure.
It creates anxiety, and it just delays their first sale.
The fix, thankfully, is simple. It's non-negotiable.
The fix is clarity and structure. Give every new hire a structured 90-day plan. And this plan has to outline 2 things: what they must learn,
product knowledge, CRM system,
and critically, who they must meet in every department. Marketing, finance, engineering. When clarity is set from day one, performance follows. You reduce the variable cost of their ramp time.
And finally, related to all this discipline, is fixing goals, not just chasing them. If your targets for 2026 rely on hope, Q1 is where that hope gets exposed. Fast.
You have to confront hard truths early. This is the leadership mandate. Review and adjust critical elements now, because waiting until June to fix these assumptions is just too late to save the year.
And the guide calls out 4 specific elements to review.
That's right. Your forecast, your headcount assumptions, your territory plan, and your conversion rates.
Let's expand on territory plan and conversion rates. What does reviewing your territory plan actually mean in practice?
It means asking if your growth targets rely on landing a few massive whales, or if you've spread the risk across a higher volume of attainable, medium-sized opportunities. If your Q1 plan relies on closing one massive deal that just entered the pipeline, that plan is based on hope. It needs adjustment.
And conversion rates.
Same thing. If the number of calls needed to get a meeting or meetings to win a deal, if those rates have slipped, you have to adjust your activity expectations upwards immediately.
This is all about stabilizing the entire operation before the usual year-end turbulence hits. It's about being in control.
Not just reacting.
So what does this all mean for the executive listening right now? We've covered a lot of ground based on the Sales Expert's Guide. It really boils down to 4 core early actions for success in Q1.
That's right. This is the Launchpad roadmap. Hire early, remove internal blockers early, build pipeline discipline early, and confront hard truths early.
That's the mechanism. That's how you get ahead of your 2026 plan instead of constantly chasing it.
It's about moving from reacting to problems to defining the trajectory yourself.
It's movement over perfection every single time.
And that strategic urgency, it really raises an important question for every leader listening. Given this need to review and adjust goals and assumptions now, before that compounding penalty for delay gets too high, what is the single biggest target risk you see for 2026 that requires immediate deep review and adjustment today? Focus on that vulnerability. That's where you should be directing your energy in the next 30 days.
For sales leaders, hiring managers, and executives who want to dive deeper into these strategies for maximizing Q1 and securing true sales success, visit thesalesexperts.com. You can explore additional resources on management, recruitment, and selling there. Take control of Q1. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.